Psychonauts Rhombus of Ruin.
Yes.
The VR experience exclusive to PSVR, at least for right now.
It's true.
It came out on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird thing. So it's a little side story that takes place between Psychonauts 1 and the now in development Psychonauts 2.
Correct.
What did you think of this? You just finished it today.
Yeah, you kind of... I'm not going to lie. I haven't spent a lot of time like coalescing my thoughts, too.
Okay.
So we're just doing it freestyle.
Really puts the raw in Rhombus.
How long did it take you?
Hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe.
Okay.
So it's a pretty quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
You messed around with it too, right?
Yeah, I'm curious where I was. I just did like a train car puzzle where I was looking overhead and sliding luggage.
Oh,
That's
boy.
where I got to.
Yeah.
I just passed that, and
Okay.
then well, go on. I'll
But
explain.
let's pull back real quick.
Please.
The setup is that you are on the Psychonauts team now, having finished the events of Psychonauts 1, like you
There
said.
we go.
So you're playing as Raz, and you're on the plane with Sasha and Mia and Raz's little girlfriend. I can't remember her name right now.
Lili.
Lili, of course. The unforgettable Lili. And you're on your first real mission to rescue Lily's father who's been abducted.
Yeah.
So then you're going to the Rhombus of Ruin, you find out, which is kind of like the Bermuda Triangle of the Psychonauts universe. So that explains the title. That was a huge weight off my shoulders as soon as they got rid of that, because I was like, I don't know what this refers to. Rhombus of Ruin is some nerd geometry stuff. But anyway, and then basically what happens is you get to play around with your powers. You've got like telekinesis, pyrokinesis, jump into people's brains a little bit.
And it relies heavily on that because you are never moving. You're
'Cause it's
Raz strapped down in a
exactly.
chair, and then you just look at who you want to jump to and then
Yep.
teleport from their vantage point. And a lot of the game is kind of like leapfrogging through perspectives just to
Yes.
navigate a space.
Because what happens is the plane crashes, and then your team is separated. So you're trying to save everyone on your team and then rescue Lily's father.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, everyone happens to have been scattered independently too, to make it a little more interesting. So like you said, you kind of leapfrog from creature to creature, the places underwater. So it's a lot of fish.
It's a lot of
You
looking
like
at
swim
fish.
in a position, you jump into that fish, and then you kind of look, and then like another fish will come by, and then you're like, okay, I guess this is my next grappling point.
There's a good
essentially.
joke where, you're Raz, so it's all brain folks, the Psychonauts,
Yeah.
and you're jumping around, and some of the fish are jellyfish.
Mhm.
And then Raz is like, yeah, I thought jellyfish didn't have brains, but I guess this is one of the smart ones. I don't know.
Sure, why not? Yeah, and as you get each person, they will like imbue you, because you lose a lot of your abilities because there's some
They Metroid you.
story reasons. Exactly. And you get your abilities back one by one, and then it all culminates in like a big...
Okay, you haven't coalesced your thoughts fully, but what do you think of that experience?
I think it's interesting. It's a weird one to evaluate, just because I think Job Simulator really spoiled me in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Because what that game did, Job Simulator, is that you're very small, confined area, but it's like a playground where if you see something, you can interact with it and do like interesting things. And I think that
Rec Room as well, right?
Rec Room as well, exactly. This is kind of a weird intermediate step where your interactivity is very limited to certain things, and it seems like this is I don't know what it seems like. This is a type of game, and like Double Fine would have put more stuff in there and more Easter egg kind of goofing around type activities. You know what I mean? Like
You expect them to.
I expect them to, and it was a little disappointed that it's kind of like there's not a whole lot of stuff you can do that isn't prescribed. So you're shooting your psi blast at things, and there's some doors that'll open, for instance. But beyond very superficial levels of interactivity, it's pretty much like you're just along for the ride, moving from grappling hook to grappling hook. It's like an
Yes.
amusement park ride in a lot of ways.
I was watching a developer vid doc
Mhm.
on this like just yesterday, and like
Yeah.
I had not been paying attention to this game at all, but I was a big fan of like the first one.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking like, oh, it's gonna be some platformer or something, but no, they compared it to a point and click adventure game. Which
I think
thought
that's
was weird.
very
Yes.
apt in all the pros and cons
Mhm.
of the old point and click adventure genre, because it is a lot of looking around, hearing characters say the same line of dialogue
Mhm.
again and again as you try and figure out like, okay, what is the dumb pixel hunting thing that I have to
Oh.
try
Right.
and find? That makes it sound worse than it is, JB. It's
Mhm.
just, I don't know if that is necessarily fun in VR. I'm totally with you, where in the beginning, when you're on the plane, you have all your abilities, and you're just like tearing everything up, chucking stuff around with your psi abilities and whatnot, telekinesis. It's like, this is fun. I understand that you can't make an extended VR experience. It's just, hey, have fun,
Go
be
crazy,
an idiot, throw
yeah.
things around. But I think from VR, that's all I want at this
Yeah.
point. So like, hey, time to focus. Now let's gate this and make it a very sequential puzzle of do this, then you can do this, move this guy out of the way so you can see this.
Because with few
I don't think that's
exceptions,
fun.
yeah, like moving from fish to fish to fish is just like it becomes tedious. You're not seeing things that are interesting between along that journey. Where it's like I would have, if I could have just teleported to the next location, they could have saved themselves a lot of effort,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have lost much in the process.
I hear you. And you say nothing interesting. I mean, we should point out, I think it's really fun to go back to the Psychonauts universe. You forget how much you
Oh my
missed
god,
that.
absolutely!
Especially like seeing the characters all around you again, and even just seeing the UI and just the abstract, wonky art design. Like, I think there is a thrill in looking around just on the art of the environment and seeing these characters
interacting
up
with the characters
close.
for sure. But like being underwater and looking around, you're like, okay, there's a pile of cars, and there's some plants. I mean, that isn't as interesting as seeing those characters again, for sure.
Yeah, and they do some interesting stuff. I don't know if it gets more abstract later on, but at least not too far in. Without spoiling anything, you warp and see the world from some very small things perspectives, which is the most interesting thing visually, especially when then classic Psychonauts characters are interacting with you when you're this tiny small thing.
Yes.
Which
It's like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of a thing.
It's exactly like that. Where's my Honey, I Shrunk the Kids VR experience?
Yeah.
Also, really bizarre side note. I was listening to the PlayStation blogcast, and Tim Schafer's being interviewed on that. And they were talking about it with the project lead as well. And they explained that a trick, because normally with like 2D games, if you want to call it that, I know
Let's call it that.
TV screen games, normally you can play with like a field of view to change if you're going to a large creature or a small creature. You can make it more fish-eyed and whatnot. And they found that in VR, what you actually do is you move the alignment of where your eyes should be in the VR headset. I don't think physically, but somehow software-wise, and that's a trick to make you feel as if you're a small thing looking at a big world.
Oh, weird.
I cannot wrap my mind around exactly how this works, but that was one of the little quirks they
I can
said
say
learning
that
about VR.
if that's what they are doing, it works because there are times where you're a little guy and you're looking at big stuff, and it's pretty cool.
That's
Which
like
is-
one of your favorite things.
It is absolutely one of my favorite things. Funny you
These
should
are
mention
some
that.
of my favorites.
It's fun to see Psychonauts characters. It's a weird novelty.
It's fun to see. There's a lot of like cool callbacks to the Psychonauts also.
Yeah.
Like you see some emotional baggage, and it's cool to see those like models for things that, you know, if you played Psychonauts, it's just really neat. Like the really flat, like stylized imagery too. Like like you'd see I think emotional baggage was drawn in that style too. But there's like some character art that's like that in loadings in the introduction. It's visually really neat.
Also, speaking of introduction,
Really clever puzzles too.
Oh, you think so? Okay,
Like later on, the thing where you're sliding the boxes around was not fun.
Yeah, or even like the eel one. It's like, okay, this is a fine.
It was
little
fun
puzzle.
the first time.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
But you talk about cool things visually. They do a full old school Bond intro.
Yes.
Which
Oh,
is really
really?
fun to see
Oh,
in
that's
VR,
fun.
like being in the middle of that. I feel like they really knocked that out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So later on, the puzzles get more creative.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff,
Okay.
but at the same time, it's not. I think. I'll do this for Dan Tack. It's fine because I know he loves that kind of critique.
yeah,
It's one of those things that like if you have a PSVR in your possession,
yeah.
and you absolutely need stuff to play. I know
Mm-hmm.
because there's not a lot of stuff going on for it. You should. It's absolutely worth the $20.
There's
It's $20.
Yeah.
It's $20. There's a weird point of comparison, Cork, and I'm curious what you think of this. So in Broken Age, Shay,
Yes.
who is the Elijah Wood character, he's on a spaceship. JV, did you play Broken Age?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Broken Age.
You remember in the beginning when it was just made clear that he was bored and he was too adult for this stuff. He's sick of these toys and being treated like a child, all this stuff. And he had like a little toy thing on the dash, and you could like play with the buttons that weren't really doing anything.
Yep.
Those are literally in this game.
Yes, they
as a
are.
way to like, hey, isn't this fun? And I felt like for a lot of it, I was having the same reaction that Shay did in Broken Age. Was like, sure, I can flick this stuff. It's okay.
Yeah, this isn't any more fun. For
Were
the
they
first person.
recognizing that?
No. It's just a
Commentary?
weird analogy that I thought of like, hey,
Okay.
wait a minute. This was in Broken Age as well. And it was a point of, hey, isn't this lame?
Yeah.
But now in VR, there is something kind of fun. But I'm with you. I maybe was expecting more.
Like,
wackiness.
optimally, what the perfect situation here is that one of your friends has bought the PSVR
Ah, yeah.
and they are a huge Psychonaut fan, and you are as well, and you convince them to spend the money on it.
There
And
you
you just go over to their house, leech off of them for a couple hours, and then go home with these precious memories.
For sure. I think
Having
it's going to
not
be a
spent a
fun
dime.
novelty moving forward for Psychonauts fans to be like, oh, did you ever play Rhombus of Ruin? You got to check that out.
Yeah, because there's not like a whole lot of. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff that's interesting, like lore-wise, if you want
Yeah.
to get into that. Some insight on like one character in particular, but it's not like an essential like, oh, this explains
Yeah.
that.
There's
Oh,
a-
that's what I was going to say. I was like, it's hard to tell because Psychonauts 2 isn't out yet, but like, do you get the sense that this is required reading in any way, or this is not?
I can't imagine it'd be built that way. I mean, without the plot of Psychonauts 2, it's tough, but it's just fun to revisit those characters. It's
It
a
seems
lot.
like a side
Mhm.
story.
Yeah.
It seems like a holiday special or something.
Yeah,
for like
that's
a,
probably a good
yeah,
way to put
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Raz VO.
Yeah.
He is talking in your ears throughout a lot of that experience.
Yeah, and something that like really bums me out is in this one is that your character is sitting down. Most of the characters that you're interacting with are standing, I guess, but like you'll see someone who's like holding a clipboard, and you're like, oh, I wonder if I go into this person's perspective. Like in one early example, you do get to see what they're reading, but
Yeah.
the rest of the time, if someone is holding a prop, it just disappears when you jump into them.
Yeah.
They don't have a body. If you're Raz sitting in a chair, and it's like very clear that he is sitting in a chair because he can't escape. You look and you don't have arms. I just like little things like that. I like having a physical body in VR.
Yeah, it's a real perk. in
Looking
life.
down and just seeing like the seat of the chair just kind of strikes me as weird.
That is
Yeah.
weird.
I
I
want to
can
see
see
my weird little spindly knobby kneed legs.
Yeah.
Ah,
There's some good jokes in it. Believe it or not, Double Fine game written by Tim Schafer.
Yeah,
it's
go
probably
figure.
going to make you laugh.
There you go.
I laughed out loud at a very unexpected moment where Lili, you can see from the outside perspective, and
Mhm.
Lili is trying to get through this train car door.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, I think it's a dresser on the other side
Yes.
that's blocking it, and she doesn't know what it is. And she goes, "What's on the other side of this door? Moose?" And that was the one time that I laughed out loud. playing this game.
Okay.
But
All
there's
right.
some other good jokes along the way. I only made it through. I didn't finish Psychonauts the original because it made me sick when I got to the Milkman stage. I get nauseous really easily.
Oh, and
I
that
was like,
weird rounded.
"Yep," I'm like, "I'm out. I
Yep.
can't do it." This game, I had to stop after that Lili section because I also got nauseous again. And maybe it was just a weird calibration issue with
Mhm.
PSVR, but the camera started like jittering around.
Were
in
you
a
standing
way.
up or were you seated?
I was seated.
Okay.
Did you have that issue?
I didn't
at
have
all?
any issues.
Okay.
I've had that with PSVR in general. Like every once in a while, it just seems like the world is being shook, like on its axis or something,
And
where
it just
everything just
destroys
freaks out.
you.
Yeah,
Oh, it's rough. But all right, so a fun novelty for Psychonauts fans. That's
Yeah,
the takeaway.
for sure.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can click right here if you want to subscribe and listen to the audio version of the full show. Full episodes air every Thursday, and they feature Game Informer editors sitting around talking about the biggest reviews, previews. We talk about exclusive impressions of Game Informer's cover stories. We have long-form developer interviews, everything that's great in gaming. So every Thursday, be sure to check it out.